We are live again. Hey, bro.
Hey, how you doing?
Good. Loving it in Charlotte. You're
Loving
home,
it,
right? You're up in Boston? You're
loving
not
it up
traveling.
here in Westboro, Massachusetts.
Westboro, Mass. I well, good. We'll jump right in. We're going to have a bit of a shortened version. Well, it's actually the original version of about 30 minutes, but shortened as compared to what we've been doing, which is about an hour. So general topic, just like the same as our other topic, it is entrepreneurship and owning your, call it your personal brand, or just owning your the value. Doesn't matter if you work for another company, if you work full time, if you want to do something part time on your own. Doesn't matter if you want to. The example I always bring up is I got like about 40,000 baseball cards in my closet and attic, and I don't really know what to do with them. I I've been talking to my kids about them, and coming up with some really cool ideas, and it all flows into the same topic, and that is, well, what if somebody did want to pay some money? Like, what if somebody did? We have the option of them. Who do they write the check out to?
Yeah.
Right. So if so that's where the topic of starting your own LLC comes in. And so I don't know if I shared this with you, but so Zembruski Hospitality Group isn't, you know this, I mean, you're a partner, LLC, but the reason, the first income that came in, and the first really reason that was started, was I left a full-time job, 2017, 18-ish or something like that.
Yep.
And I was kind of out there looking for another job, maybe, or didn't really know what I wanted to do. And then through a relationship, I was contacted by a lawyer in North Carolina, and they were representing, can't really give specifics, but they were representing a municipality, a city.
Yep.
And the city was being sued by a landowner that had a hotel in
Yep.
their district. And long story short, they needed a hospitality or hotel real estate expert to give an opinion of value of the land, value of the property, value of the hotel, the operation, and everything. So I signed up as their expert witness.
Yep.
And I had never done that before. I was like, wow, this is pretty cool. I got paid a few $1,000 for it. I was like, wow, this is going to be, a couple months of mortgage.
Yeah, fantastic.
But instead of them writing the check to Adam Zembruski over very quickly, I'd never done that before, but I started Zembruski Hospitality Group, LLC, because they were giving me ideas that, hey, we might call you again. You did, if you do a good job or whatever, maybe there'll be more business here for you. I was like, good. So I did that. I'm so glad I did it. And the company still exists. And most of the consulting and operational and owner asset management that I do in the hotel business, I do through that company. So it was pretty cool. And so I just was thinking about that. And it is do you go on TikTok much?
No, when someone sends me a link, I was just chatting with someone about that. When someone sends me a link, I go there to see whatever they're showing me, like once every couple times a month, maybe. But then I get like trapped. I can't get out. It like catches me in there. Their algorithm just keeps playing things, and I do back button, and it's like I have to. Anyway,
that's how they get you.
I don't go
that's
on
how
that,
they get you.
But I've seen it. It's good stuff.
Well, the not just on TikTok, but the kids share funny stuff, and if I see funny stuff, like Will Ferrell sometimes does little clips and stuff like that, and Jack Black, and I'll get on there. But what's really popular on there, for me anyway, I don't know, they must know who I am, but you get these little clips that say, start an LLC for $0.
Yeah.
And there's this guy that's like, start an LLC for nothing. You could do it. Like, talking to younger people, mostly in the younger demographic. And it is a bit deceiving. Like,
Yeah.
it's true. You can't actually do that for nothing. What they're saying is, I don't know what they're saying, but they're they're saying that they, like, the person on the TikTok is not going to charge you,
Yeah.
um, anything, but this is how easy it is. And the example that I was telling somebody, and they did not know, so that's why maybe we can talk about this. Um,
Yeah.
so when I started ZHG, it was through LegalZoom, right? And LegalZoom, wonderful. I still use them for a number of different things, and they make it very easy, a little too easy. And
Yeah.
so back then, it was $229 or $299 or something. That was their fee
Yeah.
to start the LLC. And then, uh, there's in North Carolina, there's the registration for the North Carolina Secretary of State,
Yeah.
is, I think at that time, and it's still the same, $225. Um, then that was their fee, and you paid LegalZoom. So LegalZoom takes $299, and that's for them, and then they take, $225, and then they pay the state,
Yeah.
and then they ask you, like, 50 questions. You answer the questions. It's not even that many questions. I shouldn't say 50, it's probably 10 or 12. Like, who are you? What's your address? And, like, what's the purpose for your company? You gotta have prepared, some writing at least to know what you're doing,
Yeah.
um, and some knowledge of research of that an LLC actually is the right structure for what you're trying to do. Not
Yeah.
saying perfect for everybody, but, um and then you answer the questions, and then they put the answers to those questions into a document, which becomes your articles of organization or your, operating agreement. Um, like, if I had 5 partners and I wanted to say, "Hey, we're all 20% owners," then I would put in all their names and all this kind of stuff. And then they register all of that with the state. And so, um, over the years, I have realized that, well, wait a minute, why don't I just learn how to register with the state myself?
Right.
And
Yeah.
and I've done that now 2 or 3 times. I did it with Hospiamo, and I did it with our nonprofit, um, Hospitality Industry Impact Initiative,
Woo.
hospitalityimpact.org. Go visit it. Um, but it's, yeah, so I technically saved $299. Nothing against LegalZoom. I just love LegalZoom, but,
Yeah.
I wanted to, 1, test myself to see if I could do it. And there was some hoops to jump through,
Yeah.
but what I love doing is helping other people do it themselves. And so, doing it myself, I was able to say to I've said to now I've worked with 2 other people to start their own LLC
Yeah.
in different states, so they have different expenses, but it was like we walked through it, together, and they ended up doing it, and the total cost was, I wanna say, less than $300 per state, and, each.
Yeah.
Now they have, and I would say they probably spent about, not counting the research that they needed to do to start their company, but they probably spent about 3 or 4 hours each themselves, you
Yeah.
know, registering everything. So, um,
So if you don't have money to start it up and you just only have enough money to pay for the state, but you have 3 or 4 hours, and that's a good route. I'm
mm,
guessing that um, because you know how to do it now, and you're starting to teach people how to do it. As people come into um, the nonprofit, the Hospitality Impact, initiative,
yep.
they're going to they'll have the opportunity to do that themselves as well if they want to, right? Is that what you're
Yes,
thinking?
it'll be a free service to them.
Yeah.
You know, maybe we'll have our own TikTok
I was
show.
gonna say, be on TikTok. Hey, come with
Yeah,
us. We'll do it for free for you. Yeah.
seriously,
Yeah.
and,
Great.
absolutely, I think there should be more of that, and also, we'll be helping other people start their own nonprofit if that's what they wanna do. You know
Yep.
what I mean? And
which is good.
Or 501c3 or foundation or whatever they might want to do. There's a misunderstanding, probably. You know, the thing that we talk about a lot and almost every week, bro, is the fact that things are misunderstood out there. And we talk to regular people, and the regular people have all the answers. And I'm learning so much from them, because be like, no, that's not how it works. Meanwhile, I've been told certain things for 30 years. It's like,
Right.
man, it's not really like that. It's not true. So one thing that was not really true about the perception of starting your own side gig was it's expensive and it's difficult. And
Yep.
I have not found either to be expensive or difficult. Now, if there are annual expenses and annual things that you have to do, but if you're talking about a total of $500 or $700 a year, even if you're making $500 or $700 in revenue, it evens out, and the company technically didn't make any money, but you have reduced your taxable income and all this kind of stuff. And so,
Yep.
there were, again, I'm not a tax advisor either, but from a mentoring perspective, it's been very inspiring to talk to people and let them know it's not as expensive and it's not as difficult and it's definitely not as time consuming.
Yep.
You started several. What did you find the same in Massachusetts? That's is
Yeah.
generally a streamlined process.
Yeah, streamlined process. Massachusetts is not where anybody wants to start it unless they live here, because it's more. I think it's one of the more expensive states to start an LLC. It's $500 a year, $500 to set up with the state instead of like $229 or whatever different states are. Some states are a lot less expensive. Massachusetts is $500 to set it up, and then $500 per year annual fee to keep going. What I did multiple times. I actually worked. I think this is before LegalZoom, like a long time ago. When I set up my first one, I contacted a local attorney. I think he charged me a little more than LegalZoom, probably $500 to do the paperwork and do the stuff and all the LegalZoom stuff you said. And then the state charged me $500, so that was about $1,000 to set up an LLC. And then that happened for a while. And then what I did, because I had an LLC, that was doing a lot of personal entrepreneur consulting. But then I went in, as you know, into the nutrition bar industry. And going in there, I wanted to change my LLC. I was gonna make a new LLC for that. And then what I learned is I can change the name of my LLC. You can probably do this in any state, because I still wanted an LLC. I just wanted it to be repurposed. So I wanted a different name. I wanted a different purpose, different business I'm in. But I was stopping the old one and starting a new one. And because of that, all I had to do was do a name change with the state. And that was, I think that was free, actually. And then I just kept paying the $500 a year. So yes, very much like yours. I spent a little bit more than you did. But if I was somebody who was interested now and potentially considering the hospitality industry as well, hospitality, retail, etc., I would go to the Hospitality Industry Impact Initiative and say, hey, help me. I want to start earning income in this industry, and I want to do it. I'd like to do it through an LLC because I hear there's some benefits to me for that. So teach me about that. Show me what to do. Hold my hand. Guide me, right, and go through that. So that's less expensive and more. There's a lot of other benefits on that in addition to just getting the LLC started. Obviously, there's training. There's different networking and opportunities that come along with starting to engage with the Hospitality Industry Impact Initiative, HI3. So we don't have to.
HI3.
So
I did experience the same thing with Hospiamo in North Carolina. So we were an LLC and then recently converted to be a corporation. So it's now Hospiamo Inc. Because that's where that's headed. And that was for zero. That was for no money, converting it, and mostly time. And then then there's one thing I didn't mention is the registered agent. That's something that people often wonder, like, what is that? A lot of people, I don't think anyone's going to sue me if I'm wrong, but I believe I'm right, that it's not a requirement to have a registered agent, which is basically an address that it's not your home and it's not a business address, but it's usually an attorney has like an office, and it's a physical office. It's like a mailbox,
Yeah.
and they allow you to use that address, because if something did go wrong, if the company, your LLC, got sued, that address is where they bring the document to. And
Yeah.
but it's not a requirement, and that usually costs about $200, maybe 300, maybe more up north,
Yeah.
to pay the person that has the address to be the registered agent, and so that they're not bringing business stuff to your house, right?
Yeah. Exactly.
And then otherwise you might get a virtual mailbox for the business. You might get a PO
Yep.
box. You might go to UPS store to get a mailbox there.
Yep.
And then there's the starting up a website. That's also something that was much easier than it was 10 years ago. I mean, it's a lot easier than it was 10 years ago. That can cost up to, I don't know, what, $300 a year, maybe, if you do some
Yep.
upgrades and stuff like that. And, but now there's templates and stuff like that. So, all in, it's much, people think, well, I'm going to have my own website. That's going to be thousands of dollars. And I don't know who to pay. I don't know an expert. I did it all myself. I am not a web developer. I've done it now 4 times. And it's a good way to document your journey, right?
Yep.
You can put things up there. You can put different links. You communicate. And, I put it on the LinkedIn Live description, bro. And it really does come down to the people that you have around you that's helping you or answering questions, because I've been so lucky and fortunate to have you and many, many other people to be like, hey, should I incorporate or should I
Yep.
be an LLC? Should I be a limited partnership? Should I just be a sole proprietor? Should it be? So I ask a lot of questions. I had people to ask. And a lot of people, if they don't have those people to ask, that's a big reason why we started the nonprofit HI3,
Yep.
right? Because just ask us, right?
Yeah.
Just, we're going to have the answer. We might not have the answer, the individual that you're speaking to, but it's a wide network. And it's all educational based. So the idea is just share as much knowledge as you can.
Yep.
And it increases the global IQ of the world, I think. So,
Yeah. I like that. Just ask us. Right. Hey, you want
yeah,
to succeed in hospitality and you want to understand more about the industry, just ask us. Right.
just ask us. Yep.
You want to get your own company started to learn about some of the financial advantages that come along with that, just ask us. Right.
Another reason I wanted to bring up, and my question to you is if it's involved in your businesses also, or the industry of, I say software development, but
Yeah.
just the entire world of developing, web design and things like that since the last 25 years.
Yeah.
Here's a reason why people don't. So back to the example of a lawyer calling me and asking me for advice and being an expert witness.
Yep.
If I was employed at another hotel, right? Or if I had a company that I was working for and I was a full-time employee of that company,
Yep.
I have become at a certain level, and a lot of people in hospitality have become that, where they sign like a non-compete as part of their employment. It is absolutely ridiculous, the number and the frequency that non-compete agreements are in the fine print. And I am calling out every company that employs people in hotels. It really should stop, because I've signed in my career 8 or 10 agreements at the time that I'm employed. So I need a job, right?
Yep.
I need to get paid.
Yeah.
And I got this, and I've been hired. And now I'm hiring my new hire paperwork, and they said, oh yeah, you need to sign this, sign this, sign this. And it says non-compete. It's mixed into this non-disclosure, confidentiality, and that's all fine. but there's always this paragraph, and there's still a lot of them.
Yep.
And it says in layman's terms, bro. I was going to get a copy, but I couldn't find it. If you stop working here, you can't work for another hospitality or another hotel for 300 miles for 3 years.
Wow, 3 years.
So if I'm living in Charlotte and I'm working there and I stay there for a year and I do everything I can and I just get another job or whatever, technically, they can sue me if I go work for another hotel for 300 miles, or even if it's 100 miles or 20 miles or 1 mile.
Even if they let you go, is what you're saying.
Even if they let me go, even if it's for cause, even if I resign, even if it's it is very heavy, and it's ridiculous. And so that's another reason why HI3 was started, because if any employee, or even if you want to enter the business or do anything, call us, because we can easily get you out of it.
Yeah.
Because most of the time you don't need a lawyer to get you out of it.
Yeah.
But back to the original point, that's a big reason why people don't do anything on the side, is because they're fearful that if they do, not because the people are bad, it's because they got this document that said you can't do anything. Like, even if you go do Uber, if you want to go drive Uber and make some extra bucks and save up for a little family vacation or something like that, technically a lot of these employment agreements say that you can't, and so they don't. And I'm telling the world, and we're starting to get some voices out there, that I'm not saying just do it and forget about it. You know, you don't want to get in any trouble, but talk to somebody, ask those questions like, can I start an LLC because I signed this with my employer? And get somebody that can help you get out of that. And very easily, I've gotten out of non-competes every single time that I've signed them, because a lot of times if I've moved on in my career or whatever, got a promotion or moved or been terminated, whatever, I'm always like, get me out of that. I don't want to be anywhere near that non-compete. And that's a big reason why I haven't gone back, bro, for over 5 years. And it's tough not getting a paycheck every couple weeks, but I also don't want to enter in any kind of agreement that would keep me from doing things, separately or on my own. So non-competes are another reason for someone not to start their own LLC. And I'm saying not true. You shouldn't be. So is it similar? Is it that aggressive? And I mean, you're in such an IP heavy world, like inventions,
software and so forth. And at one point, the only time it affected me is at one point I left a medium-sized startup for a very small startup that was technically in the same part of the industry of software. And because I was choosing to leave, technically I would be in violation of a non-compete. But I consulted the attorney at the new company I was going to at the time, and they said, you know what? Don't worry about it. These things usually are not enforceable at all. They're just
not enforceable. That's a good term for everyone to know. Not enforceable.
They're usually not enforceable. And the bottom line is, most of the people listening to this podcast, I mean, unless you're like the C-suite executive, like you're running a whole company, and now you're going to go to the competitor's company to be CEO over there, that's where they're going to take you to court, because you're making $1 million a year, and they're going to try to take a chunk of that. But if you're making a more reasonable salary, they're not going to come after you because they know you don't have it. It's not worth it. So it's not enforceable. And like you're saying, bro, it doesn't really matter. These are overly legalized terms and things and documents that just they're extra space in most cases.
They're scary, they're intimidating, and they're there, and they're sitting looking at you, and it's got your signature on it, and you get nervous because when you got a lot to lose, you've lived a good life and you have a lot to lose, and you don't want to do anything that's going to jeopardize that because you signed the wrong document. And so, it's a great topic. And
if you're not directly impacting their business, it's really hard to enforce. And if you're a person at a company and you're going to go and be a contributor at a new company, odds are it's going to be fine. A place where I've heard that it was more serious, and I don't know if it was more serious or the person was just being careful, but in the recruiting and staffing world, there's a woman who I've talked with who's a very successful woman in the space now. She used to work for another employer, just doing recruiting and staffing. There's a lot of internal recruiting and staffing people, as you know, at companies. Internal meaning that they're employed by their company. ABC company wants to hire people, and so they have an internal recruiter who's on the payroll, right? An employee at the company who's doing focused on recruiting. This woman was doing that, and then she wanted to go off on her own. And I don't know if she was let go by the company or what happened, or if it was a weird industry. I don't know what happened, but either way, she left that company and she wanted to go off on her own and do it. And she was a great recruiter, great with it. So she wanted to go do that immediately, but she didn't because her non-compete said you have to wait a year. So here's the benefit that came out of it though. So she said, okay, I'm going to wait a year. I don't want to get in trouble. So she said, what can I do for a year if I'm not doing recruiting? So she started her own training company to train people who are in this space that she was in for recruiting and staffing. And she crushed it. She created all this whole training engine in a year. And then after the year was up, she started doing recruiting and staffing and doing training. And now the biggest part of her business is the training side. So it's awesome. There's opportunities that come up out of that, you know. So it's just be open, you know, stay hungry, and you're going to be fine.
Yeah, you know, I've leaned towards doing that too. I shouldn't say that I threw away or I asked to get out of non-competes. There's several relationships that I've had that I've ended and there was no non-compete, and I just personally had the integrity to not you know, recruit somebody to come with me wherever I'm going, right? Or you know, that's burning a bridge. And you also want to be smart because that's relationships, salespeople, operators, owners. Technically, we're competitors, and you can't go far in any business if you're, you know, if you do stuff like that. Like if meaning if you start recruiting people from the company that you most recently worked with,
you don't want to do stuff. You don't want to do things.
Yeah, but you're telling them that like I'm kind of a scumbag, you know, a little bit, and like that's, you know, we don't like working with scumbags. So it's you know, it's scummy, I should say. It's just kind of weird.
If you're doing the right thing and you're taking care of, you know, people, you know, you're not taking your whole team away from, you know, purging your team or taking your team from a company, you know, you're fine. You know, it's just you're gonna go be an individual contributor somewhere else. And again, so in general, you know, to summarize, part of what you're saying and what we're saying is reach out to HI3, Hospitality Industry Impact Initiative, get some advice, get some help for free, right? Like what can I do? Because I think that's where it all starts, bro. Where you started, where I started, it's like, hey, I don't know what to do as an independent person. I think I want to do an LLC. I think I want to do something on the side. There's a lot of people doing side hustles and things now. Should you just do them and then put them on your normal tax return? Should you create an LLC? Should you do something else, right? So talk to people who are in the know. Talk to you. Talk to HI3, right? Let's you know, enter into a conversation, because that's where it starts with the advice of people who have the experience there. And then you can make an informed decision of how you want to proceed. Maybe you want to keep going on your own. Maybe you want to spend a couple $100 to formalize it. But at least that way you get the education on somebody with experience, so they can help you.
And you don't have to do anything. That's the beauty of it. You're in full control of what you do. You should be.
Yeah.
And a lot of people need to be reminded that you, as the individual, you are in full control. Even if you are working for another company, you're full in control of having a conversation with somebody to say, this is what I want to do. How do I make that happen? And there's always a way. There's always a way. And that's a good place to end. There's always a way. We always figure it out, right? And so that's pretty cool, bro. So we can finish up. Thank you to our millions of listeners out there in the world.
Thank you.
I'm going to clip this up a little bit and get some keywords out there, because we talked about some really good stuff. LLC, owning your own business, side gig, you know, inventions, IP. If there's anything that we mentioned that you don't know about or that you're curious about, please reach out to us. You got Matt at agilegamechangers.com, Adam at hospiamo.com. A lot of you already know us and you have our cell phones. Just text us and we'll respond very quickly. 24 hours a day, right?
That's right. We don't sleep. We just keep
we
going.
don't sleep. All right. I love you, bro.
Love
we'll
you
do
too,
this
bro.
again next week, 3 o'clock on Thursday.
Next week, same time, same channel. Let's do it.
Love you.